Welcome back to another episode of NBA by Jellyman, episode 19. We've got trade period deadline updates, overviews, insights, NBA Week 17 review, team and player consistencies as per usual, and then Week 18 review or preview as it's a short week ahead with the All-Star break coming on Saturday and then resuming on Friday the 24th. But we'll crack straight into it with topic one, trade deadline review. So looking at each team that made a deal, ins, outs, etc. And then topic two will be a deep dive into the teams to watch after the All-Star break. Topic three, Week 17 review, so winners, losers, and highlighted stats. Topic 4, player and team consistencies as per usual. Topic 5, NBA Week 18 preview. And then topic 6, best bets for Tuesday the 14th. It's quite a big day of NBA. Obviously with the Super Bowl being on today, there was only 2 games on earlier. And then tomorrow will be quite a big day of games. But we'll crack into it. Topic 1, we've got the trade deadline review as mentioned. So Atlanta Hawks add Saddiq Bey, Garrison Matthews and Bruno Fernando. Lose Justin Holiday and Frank Kaminsky. Not too many notables there. Bit of bench depth, bit of shooting depth there with Saddiq Bey. Boston Celtics added Muscala, so a shooting big man, actually been providing quite well for them already. Out goes Justin Jackson, who hadn't played any minutes yet for them this season anyway. The Brooklyn Nets, in Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Jay Crowder ended up back out anyway. Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith. Kevin Durant out. TJ Warren out, Kyrie Irving out, Markieff Morris out. So we'll touch on them actually in a deep dive as well about how they potentially might move up or down with their sort of wing defense as well as the team they've got currently. Charlotte Hornets add Mikhailuk and out goes Jalen McDaniels. The Dallas Mavericks in is Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris. Out is Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith. The Nuggets add Thomas Bryant. Out goes Bones Highland and Devon Reed. Detroit Pistons add another big man with James Wiseman. Out goes Kevin Knox and Saddiq Bey. Gary Payton II adds for the Warriors, obviously with a bit of controversy about his injury status. And then out goes James Wiseman for Golden State. For the Houston Rockets, in Danny Green, but most likely to be bought out. In Justin Holiday, in Frank Kaminsky, as well as John Wall, who will potentially bought out as well. Out goes Eric Gordon, Matthews, and Fernando. In for the Pacers, George Hill, back to there, finally. Or not finally, but back there again. Serge Ibaka and Jordan Nora. And then the LA Clippers, in is Bones Highland and Eric Gordon. Out, Reggie Jackson and John Wall. Reggie Jackson likely to be bought out as well. Already mentioned John Wall. The LA Lakers, another big mover as well. In is Devon Reed, D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, Jared Vanderbilt, and Mo Bamba. And then out goes Thomas Bryant, Westbrook, JTA, Damian Jones, and Patrick Beverley there as well. For the Grizzlies, in Luke Kennard, out Danny Green. For the Bucks, Jay Crowder in, George Hill, Serge Ibaka, and Jordan Nora all out. The Timberwolves add Mike Conley and Nikhil Alexander-Walker, so a bit of depth through the guards tandem there. Out goes D'Angelo Russell. The New Orleans Pelicans add Josh Richardson. Out goes Devontae Graham, so a bit of shooting for them, a bit of bench depth. The New York Knicks lose Svi Mikhailuk out of there. OKC in Darius Irish. Out goes Baisley. The Magic add Beverly. Out goes Bumba. And then the Suns, the other big mover, Kevin Durant. And then in TJ Warren as well. Out goes Jay Crowder, Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson as mentioned. And a few more picks as well. 76ers add Jalen McDaniels. Out goes Matisse Thybulle. And the Blazers add Thybulle, Reddish, and Arcidiacono. Can't really say that correctly. Out goes Josh Hart. The Spurs add Birch. Out Yoka Pirtle. The Toronto Raptors add Pirtle. And out goes Birch. And then the last but not least, the Jazz, Westbrook, JTA, Damian Jones. Out for Beasley, Vanderbilt, Conley, and Alexander Walker. So that's a bit of an overview about the teams that go in and out. Quite a busy trade period for every organisation, but it'll obviously make a lot of teams better. And I guess the insight we have there is the reason why teams do get rid of some of those players who may have been playing well for them is they don't see them in the future, or their contract may be ending at the end of the season, so they decide to get rid of them before the end of the season and get some value back in return for them. And they potentially get added to a team that they see themselves in the future as well. So works on both sides. Topic 2, deep dive, so teams to watch after the All-Star break. So we've got the Brooklyn Nets first. So as mentioned, obviously in goes Bridges, Johnson, Crowder. Not Crowder. Crowder's obviously across at the Bucks now. But Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith. Out goes KD, TJ, Warren, Kyrie Irving, and Morris. The new roster sort of looks like so, which is Dinwiddie, Bridges, Johnson, Finney-Smith, and Claxton. And then their bench looks like Simmons, Thomas, Cam Thomas that is, Harris, O'Neal, and Watanabe. So looking at the Nets and the couple games they've played already, they could win a few games with the amount of scoring they have, with Dinwiddie at the point. And then if Simmons actually plays better than he has been and proves what he was like prior to his injury and prior to all the Sixers dramas, they could have a bit there. They've got a lot of shooting around a lot of those guys as well, so there's no excuses there. And they could be a team that sort of stays put at where they are. But the one struggle we see for them is that end of game scoring. So, Dinwiddie can be that guy, but then looking at Mikal Bridges, he hasn't really been that guy, although he showed a bit of it in Phoenix while sort of Booker's been out and also Chris Paul's been out. But in terms of sort of who finishes off the end of the game, Cam Thomas has showed he's also a scorer, but defensively he's a liability. But it'll be interesting to watch the Brooklyn Nets for the rest of this season and after the All-Star break to see how they track and where they end up, because I reckon they will play playoffs, but it might be the playing game, depending on how many games they drop after the All-Star break. The Dallas Mavericks obviously added Irving and Markieff Morris, and out goes Dinwiddie and Finney-Smith. So I guess Finney-Smith's that defensive piece that they lose, but they've got a lot of good defenders around that. Obviously how their roster looks like now is Luka and Irving at the 1 and 2, Hardaway Jr., Green and Powell, so they've got that smaller lineup with Powell at the center, and then Hardy, Bullock, and Wood on the bench at the moment. Seems to be their three main guys coming off of there. They've also got Pinson as well, who's been more of a role player for them in the past, more of an energy guy, but he's come on and played some good minutes of late. For them, it's once again still about defense. Luka and Irving, we know, are going to score the ball easily and set up their teammates around them. There's also good shooting around them still, so just depending on how they set up their teammates and how they can defend at the other end, because we know Irving and Luka aren't the best one-on-one defenders. And that's what it will come down to towards the back end of the season. The Lakers, obviously in Reed, Russell, Beasley, Vanderbilt, Bumba. Out goes Bryant, Westbrook, JTA, Jones, and Beverly. Their lineup looks like so. Schroeder, Russell, LeBron, Hachimura, and Davis. On the bench, Reeves, Beasley, Walker, Vanderbilt, Bumba. I think this actually makes them a contender. So having Schroeder and Russell, both guards that can set up James, Hachimura, and Davis, and then if you need, so they can also set up on the wing when James handles the ball. So you've got either LeBron at the point and then those two as shooters, and then Hachimura and Davis as bigs there. And then there's actually a bit of shooting coming off the bench now. So Reeves is showing he can shoot. Beasley is a shooter. We've seen that with the Jazz and the Wolves in the past. Walker, he's shown to be the best Lakers shooter this season. Vanderbilt comes on a defense, and Bamba length and defense. So there's 10 guys who actually are decent NBA players as to what they've had this season already. No offense to the other guys. So the Lakers are one to watch for us in that second half of the season, depending on how their schedule looks as well. The Minnesota Timberwolves, so they added Mike Conley and Alexander Walker. Out goes Russell. So their lineup looks as so. Conley, Edwards, McDaniels, Anderson, Gobert. Towns, when he's healthy, obviously comes in for Anderson there. And they've got good bench depth as well, which has already been shown. Conley, obviously, with Gobert, that combination worked in Utah. So it'll be good to see that again. Obviously, Gobert's been down this season. So we'll see how that all pans out as well. The Phoenix Suns, so obviously Kevin Durant comes in, TJ Warren comes in, out goes Crowder, Bridges, and Johnson. How their new roster looks like: Paul, Booker, Craig, Durant, Ayton, and then Lee, Okogie, Warren, Londale, and Ross is also potentially being bought out as well at the moment by the Magic, and he'll eventually sign there. Now they've got less depth through the bench, obviously getting rid of a few guys, but they had the 4 key guys to run everything. But another but is their defense and how that looks. So obviously got Chris Paul nearing the back end of his career, can score the ball, but one-on-one defensively isn't great anymore, although he does get a few steals, and he's just a smart player. Durant obviously can match up well and can lock down on defense, same as Booker. and then Ayton in the middle, and then Craig being that defensive wing. But it's all dependent on if they buy in or not. We know they're all going to be able to score the ball, and it could be that old Suns offense of just a run and gun, and we can outscore any opponent on any given day. That's the Phoenix Suns, though. Last but not least, the Utah Jazz. So in comes Westbrook, JTA, Damon Jones, out Beasley, Vanderbilt, Conley, Alexander Walker. Their new roster looks as so: Sexton, Clarkson, Markin, Olenek, Kessler. And then Westbrook's actually 50-50 on being bought out at the moment. So his current status is if he wants to remain in the team after the All-Star break, or he wants to organise a buyout and go to a contender. But it seems the Jazz's trades there, losing, obviously getting rid of Beasley, Vanderbilt, Conley, shows they're building for the future and not anything this season. So we'd imagine Westbrook being bought out and potentially landing a contender like the Clippers or somewhere similar that needs a point guard at the moment. That's topic 2 anyway, covered off. We'll jump into the week 17 review. And looking back last Tuesday, the 7th, we had the Celtics beat the Pistons, the Cavs beat the Wizards, the Clippers beat the Nets, Paul George had 29, Cam Thomas 47 points, the Bulls beat the Spurs 128-104, the Kings thumped the Rockets, the Mavericks beat the Jazz 124-111 with no stars in that one, the Warriors thumped the Thunder 141-114, Klay Thompson had 42 points and a lot of threes, and the Bucks beat the Blazers in Portland 127-108. Wednesday's games, we saw the Knicks beat the Magic 102-98, Randall 22-14. The Suns beat the Nets 116-112. Ayton had 35 points. Cam Thomas, another big one, with 43 points. Third straight 40-point game. The Pelicans beat the Hawks in New Orleans. Ingram had 30 points. He's actually had 25 plus points in his last 4 games as well, which we cover off in our consistencies. The Grizzlies beat the Bulls 104-89. Morant had 34 points. The Nuggets thumped the Wolves 146-112. Jokic 20-12-16. And the Thunder beat the Lakers in LeBron's game 133-130. LeBron had 38, SGA had 30, but the Thunder got the win in that one. Thursday's games, we saw the Cavs beat the Pistons easily. Allen had 20 points and 16 rebounds. Quick note on the Pistons is against any big for them. Look at the opposition big. So, Jared Allen, Nikola Jokic, whoever it might be for the center lining up against the Pistons, usually have a big game. Siakam had a big game today as well against the Pistons, so that just shows that he's not their center, but once again plays similar type. The Wizards beat the Hornets 118-104. KP had 36 points and 9 rebounds. Celtics beat the Sixers 106-99. Derek White 19 points, Harden 26-11. The Heat beat the Pacers. Bam had 38 points. The Raptors beat the Spurs. Siakam 37 points there. The Kings beat the Rockets 130-128. De'Aaron Fox 31 points. Jalen Green 41 points. The Wolves beat the Jazz in Utah 143-118. The Mavericks beat the Clippers 110-104. Irving had 24 points. Powell 24 points. The Blazers beat the Warriors 125-122. Lillard 33, 10 and 11. Jordan Poole had 38 points in that matchup. Friday's game saw the Magic beat the Nuggets 115-104. An interesting one about the Magic is they really play well against those bigger teams, and then against lesser teams they actually are very average. The Hawks beat the Suns 116-107. Trae Young had 36 and 12. The Nets beat the Bulls 116-105. Dinwiddie 25 points in his season debut back to Brooklyn. And then Levine also had 38 points. And the Bucks beat the Lakers 115-106. Giannis had 38, 10 and 6. Schroeder had 25 points and 12 assists in that one. Saturday's games, the Pistons beat the Spurs. The Suns beat the Pacers. The Sixers beat the Knicks 119-108. Brunson had 37 and 9. Embiid had 35, 11 and 6. The Celtics beat the Hornets 127-116 in what was a 3-ball barrage by the Boston Celtics, which has continued today against the Grizzlies. Derek White 33-10. LaMelo Ball and Nietzsche were all 24, 9 and 10. The Jazz beat the Raptors 122-116. Sexton had 22 points. Siakam, another big game, 35 points. The Heat beat the Rockets 97-95. Hero had 31 points. The Grizzlies beat the Wolves 128-107. Ja Morant and near triple-double, 32, 9 and 9. The Cavaliers beat the Pelicans 118-107. Mobley, a big game, 28 points and 13 rebounds. Ingram, 25 points. Thunder beat the Blazers 138-129. SGA, a big game, 44 points. Dame nearly matched it with 38 points and 9 assists. The Mavericks beat the Kings 122-114. Irving, 25 points, 10 assists. De'Aaron Fox, 33 points in that one. And the Bucks beat the Clippers 119-106. Giannis, another big game against the Clippers with 35 points, 8 rebounds and 6 assists. Paul George, 19, 11 and 6. No Kawhi Leonard for LA there. Sunday's games, we had the Sixers beat the Nets 101-98. Embiid had 27 points. Mikal Bridges, 23 points in his season debut for Brooklyn. Dinwiddie almost had the game-tying shot, but it was half a second too late. The Nuggets beat the Hornets 119-105. Jokic, another triple-double, 30, 16 and 10. LaMelo Ball, a near triple-double, 18, 9 and 12. The Heat beat the Magic 107-103. Jimmy Butler, 22 points there. The Wizards beat the Pacers 127-113. Beal had 32 points. The Hawks beat the Spurs. The Knicks beat the Jazz. Jalen Brunson, 38 points in that one. And the Cavs beat the Bulls with Mitchell getting back into a bit of form, 29 points and 10 rebounds. The Lakers beat the Warriors with Schroeder having 26 points. Jordan Poole, 29 points. And last but not least, the Kings beat the Mavericks 133-128 in overtime. Irving, 28. De'Aaron Fox, 36. Clutch towards the back end of the game once again. And Monday's game. So today's game, Celtics beat the Grizzlies 119-109. Ja had 25. Derek White, another 10 assists with 23 points. And the Raptors just beat the Pistons 119-118. Bogdanovic, 33 points. VanVleet, 35 points there. That is the week in review. Moving into the player and team consistencies now. Looking at the Atlanta Hawks. Young, 12 plus assists in 4 of his last 5 games. Capela, 11 plus rebounds in 6 of his last 8 games. The Celtics, they've won 6 of their last 7 games. Derek White, the showman at the moment, 19 plus points in his last 5 games. 7 plus assists in 3 of his last 4 games. The Nets, Bridges, 20 plus points in his last 7 games. Although not a lot of them have been with the Nets, he's still at 20 plus in a lot of games in a row. So look for that to potentially continue there with his new squad. The Hornets, they've lost their last 7 games and all 6 losses by 6 plus points, and then all 7 losses by 6 plus points, and 5 of the last 7 losses by 9 plus points. And they've allowed 118 plus points in 6 of their last 7 games there as well. And LaMelo Ball, 8 plus rebounds in 6 of his last 7 games. The Chicago Bulls, DeRozan, 5 plus assists in his last 8 games. Vucevic, 12 plus rebounds in 7 of his last 8 games. For the Cavs, they've won their last 6 games and all 6 wins by 8 plus points. Jarrett Allen's been the star of late, 18 plus points in his last 6 games and then 10 plus rebounds in 6 of his last 7 games. For the Mavericks, Irving, 24 plus points in his last 3 games with Dallas. And then Denver, Jokic, 12 plus rebounds in his last 6 games and 10 plus assists in 5 of his last 6 games. Aaron Gordon, 15 plus points in his last 6 games as well. Jordan Poole for the Warriors, 21 plus points in 4 of his last 5 games and then 5 plus assists in 5 of his last 6 games. The Rockets, they have lost their last 5 games. For the Clippers, Norman Powell, 16 plus points in 5 of his last 6 games off the bench. The LA Lakers, Davis, 14 plus rebounds in 4 of his last 5 games. For the Grizzlies, Morant, 25 plus points in 8 of his last 9, 6 plus rebounds in his last 7, 7 plus assists in his last 13 games. Jaren Jackson Jr., we're not in foul trouble, he can be a threat. 15 plus points in his last 5 games, even with being in foul trouble today. Miami Heat, Jimmy Butler, 22 plus points in 6 of his last 8 games. Tyler Hero, 23 plus points in 4 of his last 5 games. And then Bam, 9 plus rebounds in his last 6 games. The Bucks, they've won their last 10 games. Giannis, 33 plus points in 7 of his last 8 games. And then 6 plus assists in his last 4 games. For the Pelicans, Ingram, 25 plus points in his last 4 games. And then 7 plus assists in 4 of his last 5 games. The Knicks, Brunson, 25 plus points in 7 of his last 8. Randall, 22 plus points in his last 7 games. For the OKC Thunder, SGA, 30 plus points in 8 of his last 10. And then Giddey, homegrown Giddey, 15 plus points in his last 15 games and 6 plus assists in his last 6. For the Orlando Magic, Banchero, 8 plus rebounds in his last 7 games. And for the Suns, Ayton, 22 plus points in his last 4 and 10 plus rebounds in 4 of his last 5 games. Chris Paul, 8 plus assists in 10 of his last 11 games since returning from injury. Sixers, Embiid, 31 plus points in 4 of his last 5 games and then 10 plus rebounds in 8 of his last 9. Harden, 20 plus points in his last 3 games as well. The Portland Trailblazers, Lillard, 30 plus points in 8 of his last 10 games. And for the Kings, De'Aaron Fox, 31 plus points in his last 3 games. Siakam also 28 points in his last 3 games. And last but not least, the Utah Jazz, Jordan Clarkson, 23 plus points in 4 of his last 5 games. Moving into topic 5, we've got week 18 preview. So looking at Tuesday, we've got 11 games. Our games to watch: the Nuggets at the Heat, Nets at the Knicks, and Lakers at the Blazers. Wednesday's games, we've got 5 games: Celtics at the Bucks, Kings at the Suns, Warriors at the Clippers. Thursday, we see 10 games: Cavs at the Sixers, Knicks at the Hawks, Heat at the Nets, Mavericks at the Nuggets, Pelicans at the Lakers. Last but not least, Friday, 3 games: Bucks at the Bulls, Clippers at the Suns, and then we break for All-Star break on the 22nd and come back on the 24th of February, which is a Friday, which sees a lot of games on that day. We move into topic 6, best bets for Tuesday, the 14th of February. We've got a few stats as well we can ravel off about opposition. So looking at the Hawks and the Hornets. The Hornets have won 2 out of the 3 games this season, even though they've lost quite a few in a row. Having a look at things here. So the Hawks are favoured -5 at the moment. They're 147. The over/under is 240 on that one, which is quite high. The Houston Rockets versus the Sixers. The Sixers are -14.5. Same as the Cavs versus the Spurs, so -14.5. 2 games we will likely stay away from. The Hawks versus the Hornets will be looking at a player prop for that one for sure. The Jazz and the Pacers, no head-to-head or line in that one. We'll be looking at another player prop for that one. The Nets and the Knicks is an interesting one. We'll probably look at the Knicks head-to-head, depending on the matchups there. But also looking at the Nets, Mikal Bridges likely points with the Knicks, how they've been allowing points of late. The Nuggets and the Heat will depend upon who actually plays for each side, with the Nuggets having a few injuries of late. Pelicans and the Thunder. Pelicans are actually 220, the Thunder are 171, depending on Ingram is healthy or not. 25 plus points for Ingram. And having a look at, obviously, OKC, SGA for them. The Magic and the Bulls. The Bulls are 147. The Magic are away. +5 looks good for them. But looking at, obviously, Vucevic versus his old squad. The Timberwolves versus the Mavericks, -7.5. The Mavericks are at. Their Timberwolves have actually lost. The last 2 losses have been by 20 plus points there. So depending on who they line up with, the Mavericks could thump them there at home in Dallas. The Lakers versus the Blazers, that'll be one we'll be seeing as well, depending on if LeBron plays or not. He was obviously at the Super Bowl today. I'd say he might be resting that foot again up until All-Star break. And then the Wizards and the Warriors back at home, likely to get a good win there. That is all for this evening and this week. Obviously, we'll be back next Monday with a bit of a, preview in the upcoming, not really the All-Star break, but after the All-Star break, previewing all that to come, and then sort of giving a preview into the back end of the season as well. Feel free to like, follow, and subscribe on all good platforms, on Facebook, Instagram, all of that jazz, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. That's all for this week. Good luck for your week ahead of punting.